Dobrodošli v Gravitaciji, podcastu, v katerem ideje ne padajo daleč od drevesa. Z vami sta Aleš Ugovšek in Miha Goršin, z njima v studiu pa so inovatorji, razvojniki in druge idej polne Slovenke in Slovenci, ki s svojimi dejanji in razmišljanjem spreminjajo naš in vaš svet.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final thematic episode of Gravitacija podcast and last sixth Gravitacija live this year, which is recorded live from Slovenian Digital Center in BTC in Ljubljana. This episode will be in English language as we have an opportunity to host a very special guest from United States, actually living now in Slovenia. However, this is not the final episode and you can expect last farewell episode coming to you, to your podcast apps on 13th December, in which we will host actually us, Miha and me. As mentioned, this episode is dedicated to the specific topic. We will start with robotics and we will finish probably somewhere else, not in the field of robotics. I don't know where we will go further on. We will see.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, sounds fun. It will be fun. And we have an honor to host, and we have a pleasure to host a roboticist and innovator working for many worldwide companies around the world, doing amazing things that are changing the world. And this is Chris Coombs. Chris, welcome to the Gravitacija.
Thank you very much. This is great.
You are always smiling.
I'm always smiling. I'm a happy person.
You are fantastic. Yeah. Tell me, Chris, how are you?
Great. I mean, I live in Slovenia now, so what else could be better?
Okay. This sounds very nice. Yeah. You will explain something more about Slovenia later on. But let me please introduce you so people will know who Chris Coombs is. So Chris have worked all over the world implementing and teaching Lean and Six Sigma strategies. Before moving to Slovenia, he was a roboticist and innovator in Google, doing amazing things that changed the world. It is written on your LinkedIn profile. But he was unfortunately not allowed to talk about them because you were working for Google X. Even before, he was global program manager at Google, senior program manager at Caterpillar, senior engineering manager at Amazon, senior project manager at Ford, senior engineering project manager at Jaguar, and I will stop here. Yeah,
just a couple.
Just a couple, yeah. Being a project manager on many different projects has given him a diverse background which allows him to seamlessly integrate into any company, position or project. And today he is living in Slovenia here in Ljubljana and is an advisor for innovation program to the CEO of BTC. Chris, I have a question for you. Do you even know how to play small?
No, I think not. That's probably usually my problem is I think too big. And everybody kind of hates me for it.
Okay.
Actually.
So have you ever worked for some small company or just big and being on managerial positions?
I mean, I was a consultant for a long time, so that really helps to get diverse and get everywhere. Able to work in multiple countries and things. So that was probably the best thing I ever did was be a consultant.
Okay.
I worked for a really small company when I first got out of college. This is part of the thing of thinking big. So when I started, I was doing CAD for HVAC and everything, which is great, and I was learning a lot. And my 3-month review came in, and they said, "So how's it going?" I was like, "Really good, but I want more responsibility. I want to do more things." And they said, "Well, we're gonna have to let you go." I was like, "Really? Okay." I was like, "That's fine." So I was thinking too big. I was telling them all these ideas, and that's when I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go be a consultant." Actually.
Okay. Now we will go out of your professional life, and Miha was stalking you on internet. So let's see what Miha prepared for you.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, I was stalking you, but I think that for our listeners, it will be really interesting to hear how did you even learn about Slovenia and what made you move here?
Yeah. So I came here twice for vacation, a couple days vacation. I was living in Czech Republic, so it was pretty quick and easy. I met my wife in Czech Republic, and we moved to America together. I think 8 years about together in America. we said, well, we had a baby. We took 3 months off of work to go do something, and so we went to Slovenia for 3 months. We lived in 7 cities over 3 months, and we're like, this place is beautiful. We'd love to live here. People are great. And then we ended up moving to Seattle right after that. We're like, well, Seattle isn't really for us exactly. We were going to move to Slovenia in the future. Let's just sell our house and move to Slovenia. And so we decided, well, let's just move to Slovenia. It's the best place I know in the world. I wanted to retire there at least, so why not move that up, right?
Okay, great.
It's amazing here.
Yeah. Do you maybe know the YouTube channel Mariah Dolens? Oh,
Nope.
No matter. She's an American who moved to Slovenia about 7 years ago. And
Oh, yeah.
I
know
can't-
Mariah.
Ah, okay.
Sorry.
I occasionally watch her videos, and I remember that she made some videos about the differences in our culture and the
Yeah.
people. And I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I made a list of differences. If you can comment on them, I always think it's funny how the how the culture clashes. So for Slovenians, 20 minutes is almost a long drive.
That's very true. That's pretty funny.
For Slovenians do loud whispering. A imaš robčak.
I haven't noticed that.
No?
Usually because people are usually trying to yell at me in English. So they get louder when they speak in English because they're trying to say the English correctly. So it gets
okay.
louder. So I haven't really noticed the whispering.
Okay, Slovenians do 100 goodbyes. Ciao, addio, bog se vidimo, srećna pot.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
I never noticed that until
Yeah.
I heard Mariah say it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I see that a lot. Just bye, and I constantly say bye, ciao. Ahoy. Like, I'm trying to use every language I can to say bye, except for Slovene because I'm still learning.
What would you say about this statement? Slovenia is quite expensive.
Yeah, it's like the most expensive place I've ever been in my life. Actually, I did not expect that. I didn't expect food and housing and gas and everything to cost so much. It's more than Seattle. I lived in Chicago. It's more than Chicago. I mean,
I would agree.
yeah.
Especially the real estate is in Ljubljana is
In
quite
Ljubljana, it's insane.
through the roof. Yes.
Yes.
What would you say about the healthy food, the vegetables? Is it easier to get?
It's. I actually no. To be quite honest, I guess I'm spoiled because I'm used to America, where you have every grocery store has everything.
Ah, okay.
Like you can get celery all the time, and here I can't find celery anywhere. So that's one thing that kind of drives us crazy. But the food's good here. It's just you don't have all the options. Like in America, you've got everything all the time. I think maybe we're spoiled, but so I don't mind.
And the last thing, not tipping the waiters is not rude.
Yeah, that is hard to get used to. But I lived in Europe for a while before I moved to Slovenia, so I kind of got used to it. I still tip people because it feels weird not to, you know? But then I think, like, my wife's like, leave him 50 cents. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was like 50 euros. She's like, yeah, it's 50 cents. I'm like, no, I can't do this. It kind of drives me crazy, but then she pays and I'm okay.
Is there anything else that is just so different or out of your comfort zone or strange?
Having kids, because they get sick like all the time. The hardest thing I think for us is the hours of everything being open. Like nothing's open on Sunday, which is we used to go shopping all the time on Sunday, and like Walgreens and CVS and the pharmacies and all that, you can just go 24 hours a day and get diapers or anything you need. And the pharmacies are odd here. Like if you want to get cough medicine in America, you walk in and you buy cough medicine. Here you have to talk to somebody and say, I want this. And they say, do you really want that? Because this might be better for, did you try herbal? And I'm like, just give me the thing that I want. Like, no. Let's have a conversation first. I'm like, but you don't speak English. And so let's try talking about it somehow. And I have to pull somebody over. All right, tell them cough medicine. They're like, Castle or something. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yes, but give me cough medicine. Try this herbal supplement. I'm like, no. So that's been really, really hard to transition to. So
Yeah. That's quite annoying, yes.
I don't know if you deal with that too or not, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We have this option, but we have also this option.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things you also mentioned to us a few months ago is that you like to try cool new gadget and tech things.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
constantly buying random stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them being Google glasses that you said
Yeah.
you used for playing golf.
Yeah, that's right. So I had Google Glasses when they first came out, and I tried them for everything. I mean, videos to burnt your face off if you tried to use a video because the battery got so hot. But the only two things I found them really useful for was golfing, because I would be able to swing and I'd see where the ball is supposed to go, and be able to do a flyover of the course, and that was really cool to have. I mean, now I have it on my watch, which is different. I didn't have a watch like that back then, but it was amazing to have those for golf. And people looked at me like I was crazy because I was wearing these Google glasses and golfing. I'm like, this is the best. That was the best use case I found for Google glasses.
Great. One of the things that Aleš said I should ask you is which is your favorite brand of beer now in Slovenia?
In Slovenia.
If you have found it yet.
But like the human fish has been the best ones I found for the different tastes, right? I really like the human fish beer in Slovenia. But I haven't found a ton of beer that I'm in love with in Slovenia yet, to be quite honest.
Yeah, we had serious discussion about beers lately.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And well, I don't agree that human fish is the best, but I won't say which one is the best for me.
True. That's okay.
Yeah, I think we need to go later on, just to put beers on the table,
We
and
should.
we
Just
should.
line them up and just go for it.
Not we should, we will.
Okay,
We
sounds
will,
good.
yeah. Okay, enough about beers, enough about Chris. Because you started to sweat, so...
Am I sweating?
No, joking,
yeah, a little
joking.
bit. You're right. Wow, man.
So we will now dig deeper into the theme of today's episode. This
right.
is robotics. I will just read couple of facts from industrial robotics for our listeners, because there are some interesting numbers, and then I will ask you to comment all this.
Sure.
So the World Robotics Industrial Robots Report, the latest, shows a record of 3 million industrial robots operating in factories around the world. This is an increase of 10% if we compare it to the last year. And the highest amount of robots are in automotive industry, following by electrical and electronics and metal industry. The value of new installations is 13.2 billion US dollars. So in Slovenian we say miliarda, that you will understand. And Asia remains the world's largest market for industrial robots. So actually 71% of all newly deployed robots were installed in Asia last year. Top 5 countries are China, Japan, USA, South Korea, and Germany. Chris, so robotics, this is your field that you know very well. Your comment about this, and what do you see as robotics?
So these are industrial robotics, right?
This
So
exactly.
these are the arms and the Cartesians and things, right? The ones that actually do repetitive work all the time, right? So it makes sense they're going to Asia, because they're doing a lot of volume. So when you do tons and tons of things over and over and over again, a robot makes sense because it just has to do the exact same thing constantly. When you have any changes at all, like a decision to make, then robots don't really make sense. People make decisions fantastic, right? They can see something and, like, say they're plugging in a network plug on a back of a router. A person can go, yep, that's correct. Turn it upside down and plug it in, right? It still takes them a couple seconds. A robot would never figure that out, So if you think of it like that, the robots need to do very, very specific programmed things. And, mass manufacturing is like the automotive. They make a ton of vehicles the exact same way, the same welds, everything. So robots do make sense. They'll make them for a year or 2 or 3, the exact same vehicle. And so that's kind of where the robots, just like what you said, that's where they're going. So I agree with it completely, actually, for that sense.
But
robots aren't smart. They're just as smart as their programming, and they, like I said, they can't make decisions. So in other scenarios where you have any complexity, a robot really is not going to be your best option.
Yeah, because it's kind of buzz now around robots. Oh yeah, we have a factory, but we don't have a robot.
Yeah.
But neighbor factory has a robot, so they're really cool.
And they're probably going bankrupt.
I don't know.
You never know. But I think robots are the last thing you should do. So try absolutely everything else and then do a robot. If you have a quality issue, do a robot. If you want to reduce headcount, use a robot. Right? If you're constant volume, do that. But anything else, you should be able to use other automation or other people to improve your processes to get better. And then the robot should be the absolute last thing you put in.
I'm gonna challenge this.
Okay.
What about artificial intelligence combined with robots?
I mean,
the visuals. I mean,
yeah. So you have
can't
all the
we
machine
combine
learning.
this?
You have machine learning, so you can teach robots things, but it also has to make a ton of mistakes before it gets better, right? If you have to tell a robot this is the thing you have to do over and over and over again, it's like, oh yeah, now I figured it out. So it's kind of artificial intelligence, right? But it's going to make 1,000 mistakes, and so you're always going to have a person there to fix the mistakes. Even after you make the robot almost perfect, you still have to have a person there to take over when the robot fails, when the robot's going to fail sometime, right? They always fail.
Because when we are looking at movies, for example, we became scared that robots will take over the humans and the work and everything. Will they or will they not? Because now people are saying that no, robots won't take over the human work because we will transform people to other jobs, doing things that they really love. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, since I'm not doing robots now, really, I can say honestly, robots are taking jobs, right? 100%. Yeah, the robots you're talking about, the industrial robots, the ones that do the welding, they're doing a good welding job over and over and over again. For a person who used to do that perfect welding job over, and they trained for years to be a good welder, right? They say that they're going to put a robot in and then give it to that person another job. Well, what's the other person? They're a welder, right? Maybe they'll go get another welding job somewhere else that doesn't have a robot, or a more complex welding job, right? But if that job doesn't exist in the company, they're going to be a material handler or feeding the robot. Here, robot, here's the thing you have to do, my job that I used to do, right? Those industrial robots are absolutely taking people's jobs.
But because you are talking about welders are people in Slovenia which are really rare now.
True.
So if you lose welder, you have a big problem. But if you have a welding machine, welding robot, that's cool.
That's cool, as long as you do it over and over again, the same thing.
Okay.
Right. I mean, a robot's not going to understand that this thing is bent a little bit, so you've got to weld extra, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to figure that out. You can't make that decision. A person would make that decision. So you still kind of need a couple welders to fix any of the robot mistakes in the end, right?
Do you think that welder can weld better than a robot?
Good welders can weld better than robots.
Okay.
Mostly because they can deal with all the air, right? They can see it.
Okay.
When you have machine vision, the robot can analyze what's going on and scan it and kind of fix it, right? But they can't do as good as a person could ever do.
Well, you brought up machine vision. For example, machine vision, okay, we have a human eye can see something when we are looking at the defects, but machine vision offers you, if you have different kind of cameras, infrared and other things, other types of cameras, then machine vision can see much, much better where defects are.
True.
Yes.
But you have to tell it what to look for.
Okay.
So you have to already know that the defect's going to come up before you see it, right? A person would see a new one and go, okay, that's something different. Let me figure out how to deal with it, and then I'll learn how to do it in the future, right? You've got to see a bunch of them for a robot to say, this is what you need to fix when you see this thing. I mean, if you look deeper, I mean, you're not going to look at a microscopic scale all the time. A person can't see. They're just a person would get something and it's good enough, right? Especially for manufacturing. When you're doing things like on a computer board, like a motherboard or something, they were welding on that makes a big deal. Robots are really good at that. Probably better than people because they're doing tons of them. I mean, making one board one time, you're going to use a person, right? But making thousands of them, a robot does really well at welding on a motherboard. And so maybe that's a place where a robot makes more sense, but...
Yeah, we've already touched upon the robots and humans working together, the collaborative robots. Could you explain that? Are they offering new jobs, or is this just a transition job, or?
I mean, a lot of it's mostly for safety, I would say, because collaborative robots they'll take a piece out of a machine, right? Something like maybe a lathe, right, where it could be dangerous. A robot will take the piece out and hand it to a person, and that's collaborative, right? And so the robot's interacting with the danger, and you're out of the danger, so you're collaborating with the robot to not be in danger. But other than that, there's not a lot of really great collaborative robot use cases, right? You're not going to say, thanks, robot, for taking the thing up that I can pick up myself, right? Or for holding this for me and moving it around while I'm trying to work on it. It doesn't really work so well like that.
I am getting the feeling that you're killing the idea of robotics.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that's what I said. It's the last thing you should do. It's when you have something that's very repetitive, or when you need really, really high quality 100% of the time that a person couldn't do, that they would make a mistake. Like if it's a really, really expensive part, you want a robot to do it because it's over and over again. If a person messes it up, it's how much they cost for the whole month, right?
So you're basically saying the best case used for the robot is to defuse a bomb.
That would be great, actually, yeah. High-risk scenarios, correctly.
But is there some breaking point, some sweet spot where you say, okay, now it is time that we deploy robots? Like quantity of something, or?
Yeah, when you have some product that's, I don't know, when you need to make a ton of them really quickly or work 24/7, sometimes it's better to put robots in, especially if you're going to do it for more than a year, because robots don't pay for themselves that quickly, because maybe the robot costs 35,000 euros, right?
Okay, this is what I wanted to ask also. Yeah, 35,000 euros. What do you get for 35,000 euros?
You get like a 6-axis robot that can move around and not do anything.
Okay,
right?
so
this
is not the end. This is actually just the beginning.
That's the beginning. Right?
Okay.
But then you have to design the end effector, the hand, all the sensors and vision and cameras and everything else. You could easily take that, spend another 50, 100, 150,000 euros just to make the robot do something. And then it can just do that thing usually, because the end effector is usually the most expensive part.
Okay.
And so it can manipulate that thing, but then they're like, oh, we're done with this product. We want to move it over there. Like, cool, you can move that robot, but you got to design that other 150,000 euro end effector to do something different. So,
are we here talking about a software that anybody can learn to use, or do you have to have a specific set of skill set to even get the people with the robot?
There's different ones. I mean, the more complex, like material handling, is pretty straightforward. You can teach it. There's a lot of pendants you can teach things with, as long as everything's already designed for you. I mean, typical people aren't going to design the end effector and the sensors. They're not going to program the control system. You need somebody to do that for you, and then somebody can teach it how to do the job, right? Or retrain it. So maybe something moved, and it's constant. Like there's a jig, and they redo the jig with the fixture that holds the part. They redo it. If the robot's already doing something and it just moved a little bit, a person could learn quickly how to reteach it, how to manipulate something differently. But they're not going to reprogram the whole thing. You need some roboticist to do that for you.
It seems
controls engineer, I guess.
Everything about robotics seems very logical and straightforward when you're explaining. So what is then beyond robotics? What do you see as a future? Or what is out there at the moment?
Part of robots, right? So if you think of 3D printing, that's a Cartesian robot, right? It's still a robot, but it's 3D printing. I mean, they do have the other ones that use like articulated arms that can build houses and stuff, but I think that's the next step. That's additive manufacturing.
Okay.
So I think additive manufacturing is going to take off, especially for bringing manufacturing back to where it started. So like where it was designed. So Slovenia is exporting things to China or to India. Same with every other country, right?
Can you please explain what is additive manufacturing?
Additive manufacturing, it's
in simple words.
Simple words. It is,
or in one case,
adding material to build a thing.
Okay.
Right? So 3D printing adds material to build something, right? Which is
like you would add a how's it called? Not a casing to a cake, but icing to a cake.
To a cake.
Yeah,
That's additive. That's very true, right? It's the same.
Yeah, for example, right?
Yeah. And then the opposite, you have subtractive, where you take material off of a piece of wood to make a baseball bat or something.
Can you give some specific examples? I don't know. How can you do additive manufacturing in automotive industry or some cases that we will understand?
Automotive is...
Or some other
So automotive is
case.
very high volume of the same thing, right? So you might be able to do mass production there. I really like the example of the glasses, because I bought a pair of 3D printed glasses a couple years ago. It was Monocool, I think it was, the company. I don't know, they're from Finland or something. But that's the thing where I could see in the future, once the 3D printing gets better, you don't have to have these things mass produced anywhere. You can have them in every optometrist's office. What kind of glasses do you want? Do you want them a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller? Do you want them designed differently? Then they would actually be able to do it. All right, well, here's your new design. Do you like it? Let's print one. And then they print it out, and 3 days later, you have new glasses.
So actually, the producers of glasses at the moment, they will. What will I buy? I won't buy glasses. I will buy a design. Design meant for me. Will I buy a coat and give this to one factory doing 3D printing, or?
You could. Well, I mean, you could buy the code and change it. Maybe even optometrists or eye doctors will start having designers in their group, right? They can change things for you, and then you could, I don't know, maybe just print it there, or they send it off and they get it printed somewhere else. Because I mean, right now the 400,000 or 500,000 euros is the cost of a 3D printing machine for like glasses, right? I think in 5 or 10 years those will come down just like computers did, from big warehouses to on your desk to the laptop. So maybe 5, 10 years, you'll see these things actually develop, and then they'll be in all of the different places. So you can actually make something all the time, which brings in a whole another aspect of how do you share data and who owns what files and all that. And that's getting into the whole NFT thing. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I would like to add that I have had a 3D printer for a few years now, and I've really seen that it enables you to fix things that you wouldn't normally have to be able to fix. Right. My brother, my father, and we all know how to 3D model, and we just start making handles that broke, special keycaps, anything that we needed, we just replaced it.
Right. That's exactly like, when you look for that special part, like the screw that you need that just doesn't exist except for 30 euros for an electric bike. Electric bikes, for some reason, have these special screws. They cost 30 euros for 2 of them, and you could just 3D print those.
Yeah,
right?
that you're gonna use once a year,
right.
maybe, or
exactly.
just once.
Yeah.
I will challenge you now.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you can solve my future issue. I am going now back to the wood industry, to the producer of Slovenian wooden windows.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, at the moment, this company is exporting wooden windows to States. Mm-hmm. So you order wooden windows made in Slovenia, and then we transport it to States. So if I now switch to additive manufacturing philosophy, how would that work? Who will do windows, where, and with what material? Because we are using wood and glass and everything.
Yeah. So you could either switch materials, right?
No, we don't want to switch materials, right. Or we want to have a material that looks like wood.
Yeah, so you could do that with 3D printing with material that looks like wood, right? And there's actually a pulp material that you can print.
Okay.
Yeah, the material is quite common. For my printer, it's not that special. I can also use this material that imitates wood. You can bruise it. Polish it, and cut it, and it smells like wood.
Yeah, so you could use that. That's one thing.
Okay.
So you just send a file to somebody who has it in the States, and they start printing them for you.
But who is that somebody there?
So that's where additive manufacturing is going to start being bigger. There's going to start being companies that actually make their own space, like in different states in America, for example.
Okay.
They'll be like a publisher, like a book printer. They'll have their own printers, and they'll be able to just take on orders. And they'll expand. And I think that's going to be huge. So instead of you having these assembly lines where you have contract manufacturing, you've got printers that are contract manufacturing.
I already seen some of the companies, but right now they are mainly doing like cosplay parts, computer special mounting parts.
Right.
But I think that will evolve, right?
Definitely, it's going to definitely evolve, especially when the price of printers goes down.
Yeah.
You could also do the opposite and do subtractive, which you pretty much can already do. Right? You send a CNC file over and have somebody do it for you. So
But then Windows won't be made in Slovenia anymore.
they'll be designed in Slovenia, right?
Oh, nice one. Designed in Slovenia,
big-
manufactured in States.
Right, that's a big thing. It's like the Mustang. Like I think we talked about before. It was the Mustangs. I think 42% made in the States,
Okay.
or something like that. But most of it's made in Mexico, but it's assembled, and all the hours are put in the States, so it's made in America.
Okay.
There's a certain percentage like that you have to hit before it says made in somewhere.
You are now working in BTC.
Mhm.
Do you also work with that idea of additive manufacturing, 3D printing, or maybe something else?
In BTC,
Yeah.
not the additive manufacturing. They don't really
I
make
thought
much,
so.
right?
Okay.
But we are doing like next year we're doing 2 really big projects, which is technology, I guess. One's that we're doing an entire digital twin, so creating an entire 3D model of everything. So you've got a
Of
million square
everything,
meters,
of entire BTC.
all of it. So that's our goal: to create 3D model down to the a couple of millimeter dimensional accuracy, so then we can have almost our own little metaverse, right?
Okay, and how much time do you need to do a digital twin of
Of the
BTC?
million, with all the floors and everything, because there's tons and tons of buildings here, 6 to 9 months.
No,
Yeah.
Chris, come on. Nothing happens in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, they say that.
Ask politicians.
Well, yeah, that's true. Right, that's very true.
So no, really, 6 to 9 months to have a digital twin.
To have our first digital twin where you could actually get into and get into VR. You could walk around everywhere. You could sell out the models. You could do construction. You can do designs, reconfigures,
Okay, but
virtual tours, all that stuff.
probably it's not that simple. You need some background. What do you need to prepare digital twin of BTC?
So first, you need to collect all the data with LiDAR and cameras.
Yeah.
They've come a long way in the last few years. I won't name the companies right now, but there's a few companies that are really, really good at doing this scanning. And so before, you used to have to set down a device and have it spin around for 1 to 30 minutes and then move it about 3 meters and do it again and do it again. Now it's almost like the Street View with Google. You just put it on your shoulders or you push it around and you walk around the entire space and it collects all the data and creates point clouds and then layers images and colorizes the point clouds. Then you move it into a couple different program files and put solid sides on it and turn it into a metaverse.
Yeah, I've seen that technologies has advanced so much that you can get it in the new iPhone or something, right? You can scan
yeah.
things very easily, I've seen.
Right. You can get it's a couple inches or centimeters accurate.
Yeah, it's not,
but-
yeah.
It's not as good, but it
It's
still
not as
works.
good, but it works. It
Right.
works like amazing.
Right.
I remember a few years ago, I've done some 3D scanning myself, and it was just the amount of work I had to put in, the amount of images. Now it actually scans it live, and it's
Right.
better than when I had to input like 1,000 images of
Right,
one
right.
object. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Now it just kind of builds it for you as you're going, and you post-process in 8 hours, and you're done. Right.
Who would benefit the most from BTC digital twin? BTC customers? Who?
Customers and so different types of customers.
Okay.
Like people who would want to rent the space, they would be able to see it and reconfigure it and have an actual
Rent
CAD model.
physical space.
Yeah, rent physical space.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They could do CAD models and things just from that. So they, even if they're in another country and they want to rent a store or rent an office space or something,
Okay.
they would be able to see it up front with real dimensions, which is totally different than just taking pictures, right?
Yeah.
You can do anything you want with pictures, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's one. Customers who come here, people who actually shop or live, play, that's the whole deal, right? They could figure out where they are when they get here. They could say, I think I'm going to park in this parking lot. I'm going to walk to the space. They could navigate online and VR or whatever they want to actually get to the spot, understand that on their way they saw a couple other things they needed to do anyway, which you really don't get that feeling when you're looking at a map. Like, I want to go to this store, but I didn't realize that these 3 other stores were on my path, right? And so if you kind of do your path before you get there and do planning, because people don't have a ton of time to go do stuff anymore. We're always working, we're always busy. Actually, being able to figure it out first, like you would do with Google Maps, would be a really, really big benefit, I think, for customers. I would use it because I get lost all the time here. I'm here all the time.
Are you then playing with an idea also, for example, because you said one word before, metaverse, to rent also places in meta world. So in metaverse, so to put BTC there into another world,
right,
and rent it there.
It's possible. I mean, we haven't really said that that's going to happen or not, but it's entirely possible where if you own this brand store in the real world, you could also own it in the virtual world. And then when we move this thing into the entire virtual space, you would own that store everywhere, right? Even office space. It'd be kind of odd if one person owned the store in the metaverse and the other person owned it in the real world. But, I mean, that's where we can go with the whole, we made that store into an NFT and now that person owns that piece of land, right?
But it also gives you an overlapping chance of the store or the space that it's currently empty to occupy it in the metaverse, right?
That's right. That's true.
Or you can open the store that you want to open a few months before in the metaverse, right?
True. And we could even add floors. We could make it bigger. And you could also add more stuff, which helps. That's one way it could help BTC is if you have a bunch of traffic and a bunch of people working in a metaverse space, right? They might be able to do some analysis, say, should we add another building? Because people want to come here. Maybe they'll really come here, not just in the metaverse, right?
And that's
funny
also
word,
metaverse. My wife's name's Meta. That's just weird. Also now Facebook is Meta. It's just, oh my God. But this is also a good start for a augmented reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't do anything without 3D modeling.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have there's a video on YouTube that does this really well, but if you have a building and you're trying to fly a spaceship through a building, right? It's kind of weird, but it's a good way to look at it. If you don't know the front, back, side, everything of the building, if you're looking at it from one direction, you would kind of not be able to make that spaceship disappear, right? You couldn't fly around something unless you knew the dimensions of it, right? You kind of just cut through it or take a lot of post-processing, right?
I would go now step back.
Sure.
From digital twins and metaverse, is this also useful for factories, for example? How are digital? Yeah,
absolutely. So factories, they need to understand their routes for material handling. They need to know their all their cables and everything else, right? Everything that runs around. So in a digital twin, you could actually have all of those things in there. So when you want to make a move, you want to understand that you need to add a new airline, right? So you know where your pieces are on your digital twin. You can add them there to make sure that everything fits, that everything works correctly. There's more software now that could actually tell you if there's enough pressure and things, based on your model before you go do the work. Because a lot of times you just go do the work and it takes you a lot longer. Now you can prepare, know exactly what you have to do, order all the correct materials, and then just go install it. Plus laying out new assembly lines, if you even know if this new robot arm could fit into the door. Like people forget things that look, you forget to look, can this thing go through the door or not, right?
One very useful thing I saw is that if you have a digital twin of a special kind of robot or anything, you can also do maintenance or repair from afar through the augmented reality, right? Do you see this as a potentially?
So augmented reality is more when you're doing maintenance. You're getting somebody to help you. They can see what you're doing, and they can point to something like turn that screw, right? So that helps in that aspect. you still need a person there to do it, right? If from remote. So somebody could see it remotely, see what's working on. As long as it's a real live digital twin, you could see what the feedback is. And that's pretty common in robotics. But augmented reality is going to be really big, I think, in advertising, actually.
How in advertising?
Because if we ever go to these augmented reality glasses, people actually have them, not just a fad, but actually people start using them, or they start using them on their phones or whatever. You could put ads everywhere. You could say, instead of putting up a billboard that costs a fortune, you could just put up an ad that just actually for that person. This is shine it at a space, and this is more for you. It's more, you can even make them personalized to the person based on like they do on Google Ads, right? I think that's gonna be huge.
There was one abbreviation that you said a couple of minutes ago. It was NFTs, and this is one technology that I wrote it down that we need to discuss also about it. Okay. Now I can see that we are going in, as I said at the beginning, we start with robotics and we will see where we will end up. So we are now in metaverse, and so NFTs, this is the technology, non-fungible tokens.
Yep.
What is NFT actually? Can we explain this? Because this is something actually really happening, and we don't know about it.
That's true. There's a lot of crypto punks and things getting sold right now.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of money. And NFT is so non-fungible means that it can't be broken down into pieces. It's an actual thing. So if you own a pair of shoes, then those are your pair of shoes. You can't sell off half a shoe, right? So you own a thing. It's non-fungible, right?
Yeah.
And so this token it allows you to have it in the blockchain. You can say, this is mine. Like, I own it, right?
But this is digital, right?
Digital.
Yeah,
so this is all digital, right?
Yeah.
So this is my digital file. I guess it could be any file. It could be any data, really. But you can't break it up. It's just that piece, and it's as one for one, right?
Yeah.
And so you could look at the Ready Player One and all those other movies, right? They're very much into non-fungible tokens, right? Yeah. I really want to carry a DeLorean in my pocket. So that would be great. So yeah, that's a really, really good example of non-fungible tokens, but they're going to move into lots of other stuff. Like you could make the Eiffel Tower an NFT, right? And somebody in the digital world could own the Eiffel Tower in the XYZ coordinate, because there's even blockchains that does coordinates. And so this is mine. Maybe there's 100 of them. And so 100 people can own the Eiffel Tower in a digital, but nobody else can ever again, right?
Yeah, I've really seen that take off in the video game industry, where you can create a unique item that you can transfer between games, and it has a value.
Yeah. Could you imagine using a Halo gun in Call of Duty or something? That would be amazing.
Amazing. Right. Or one ring to disappear in some other games.
Right.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Right.
Gamers.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm thinking about now. Starting to think about new business models. So, for example, if you have digital twin of BTC,
right?
You put it in a metaverse, meta world, however we call it. You have a flat there, and you have a picture on it, a fine painting, and I can actually buy this picture there, or I can buy NFTs.
Right.
So this picture there, or a piece of picture, will be mine forever after.
Yeah, until you sell it.
Is it like
That's
this?
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So you own it in a virtual world.
Yeah.
And you can transfer it to all the different ones that right now they don't accept it, right? That's the problem. So once they start to accept everything, then you can transfer it between places.
Okay.
Right now it's really, really big just to have a picture of a monkey and make it your profile picture. It says, look at me, I have enough money to buy this monkey. But it's going to take off. This is just a very big start. And musicians are using it so they actually get paid for music instead of, the old Napster or whatever, right?
Do you think this is now illusion? I don't know. If you need some income, you need a person who invests in you or in your company. So, for example, you do a factory, you have digital twin, digital robots, everything, and then for investors, you're actually selling these digital robots.
I
am just playing with ideas.
They might not make any money. I guess you could. I guess when we have a robot company, So I sell a robot to a company.
Yeah.
I could also sell them a digital representative of it,
Yeah.
like a file.
Yeah.
And that could be an NFT to say you own that robot plus this NFT with the same serial code, right?
Yeah.
Then if somebody makes some really, really good industrial digital twin software, then you could input that NFT into it, and then that would just update your digital twin for your factory. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
So then it links to the actual robot. There's a file that can only talk to that robot, that you can only own that robot in that file. And that makes life so much easier, actually.
And now I'm further on playing with ideas. So, this is scary, but actually, yes, it can happen. So I will be building my own house in second world, in digital world, in Brave New World.
Yeah, the Brave New World.
Yeah, as Huxley wrote down his book in 1931. So in Brave New World, I will build my own digital house, and I can buy my digital windows, wooden windows in that world. So this means that a company that I am going now can start building digital windows for the future.
Absolutely, why not?
Okay.
And you can sell them as NFTs. And when people are designing their new house, they could or you could rent them maybe a piece of a window.
Yeah.
Right? And they could design it into their house before they build their own house in the physical world. So
Okay.
yeah, that's possible.
Chris, do you like the future like this?
I do.
And I will end here.
There's just so many possibilities. I really love the future of that. One other thing, just for the BTC, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
We're really pushing to make it a living lab, because there's like 21 to 30 million visitors a year, and so many different interactions, so many streets, so many parking spaces, just everything's going on here all the time. It's a gigantic place. I've never seen something so big. So next year, the goal is to make it the largest living lab in the entire world with actual people doing actual things. Most living labs are just, a space that is kind of just constructed to be a living lab. This is a living lab from an actual space where we can do tons and tons of fun new tech things. And so we're trying to get companies to come in and try all their new stuff and play. This is going to be a big play tech place, I think.
He's super excited?
I'm super excited, yeah. Now, me and my brother, we like to make stuff. We like to try stuff. I'm an industrial designer. He's a engineer. And we didn't have this space when I was in college.
Yeah.
But he found some of the spaces. I think he found the Rogue Lab and some other places where he could actually make the stuff, create stuff, talk to other.
Like a makerspace.
Makerspace, yeah.
So that's, we hopefully we'll get a makerspace as well. This is going to be more of a
next step, right?
Next level. Like if you have plates that go in the road for electric cars, right? That we can install plates because we own the roads, right?
Yeah.
We can put in parking sensors and cameras and LiDAR and stuff to make sure that traffic's moving, or we can put in light bulbs that turn on in different hues for different types of people, and maybe it understands from your phone that you like this thing when you're shopping. I don't know. Lots and lots of fun ideas that we can do.
Different chargers for electric cars, right?
Right.
Yeah. I see.
Self-service robots that make you coffee, whatever.
Guys, I'm a little bit scared. Sorry. I just found... I will be quoting now William Shakespeare. It's about Brave New World from The Tempest. Okay. It goes like this, and I think this is what I am seeing now, or seeing, what can I say? It goes like this, yeah. Oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here, how beauteous mankind is, oh brave new world, that has such people in it. So I really hope
there's good people
that there will stay many goodly people, right. Also in second Brave New World.
Right. I think so. People are actually pretty good in general. So everybody gets very scared of the very few, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about all this new technology and can you click accept cookies and things like that, right? Don't worry about it, because you're just a little fraction of a percentage of a person or what their data they're collecting, right? They just want information, not on you or anything, right? So I think if people really start to realize that they're part of this whole ecosystem and not just feeding it, they're actually in it, because you're not getting all this services and all this data for free, right? That you wouldn't get if you weren't participating. So everybody's in this now. So if we're all in it together, there's a few bad people, but you really don't have to worry about them.
But
There's lots of people trying to stop the bad people. So don't worry about them.
But few bad people have a lot of power.
Yeah, not really. I mean, how often do you really see that, your Facebook picture just got posted on some random website, right? Like, it doesn't really happen, And all these companies have lots and lots of security, so you don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Thank you.
That's really what I push for people. It's like they're scared. Don't be scared.
We will quote you at the very beginning of this episode. Don't be afraid.
Don't
Fantastic,
be
Chris. Great. We could talk for hours now,
sure.
but we need to stop here. We started with robotics. Actually, we started with Slovenia.
That's right.
Yeah, and you said that Slovenia is the most beautiful, but the most expensive country in the world. This is what
that
I
I've
remember.
lived in. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you said about robots that when you do a tons of things, that then robots are a good option, and
Right.
that try everything before going and deploying a robot.
Yeah.
So this is something, and you said that the future lies in the future of factories lies in additive manufacturing and 3D printing.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that the future also lies in one-piece ordering, like one-piece glass, one-piece.
Yeah, custom.
Yeah, custom-made everything.
Yeah, that's the spoiled kids of us, right? We want that thing that's ours, right? So
Yes, and then further on, we actually we dived into digital twins and
Right.
metaverse and non-fungible tokens that I forgot to write down some notes because it was so interesting and something totally new. So
Very
if you
different.
didn't understand everything that we were discussing, so please go back, rewind this episode and hear it once again, or Google it. What is additive manufacturing, NFT, digital twin, metaverse? You will find a lot of great
true.
podcasts
There's
about
lots of
it.
information.
A lot of information, so we will stop here. And before we go to the final part of the final thematic episode of Gravity podcast, Micha, it's your time for your final. It is called uspešek. This is the Slovenian word. So small tips from Micha how to live easily.
How would you translate that? Successes. I don't know.
How to live a successful life?
Yeah, it's a word play on success and the gravity pull. It doesn't matter.
Success.
I have so much Slovenian to learn.
So today I will present to you an amazing website called Ilovepdf.com, and it allows you to edit PDFs with advanced features that you would normally have to pay for. Some of these features include merging PDF, splitting PDF, compressing PDF, converting PDF to Word file, Excel, PowerPoint. It also allows you to edit PDF. This is something I've been looking for quite a long time. It also allows you to unlock PDFs, which with be careful. But one more special feature: it allows you signing PDFs and quite a lot more. Please check it at visit ilovepdfs.com.
Thank you, Micha, once again, and thank you for the last time for uspešek. A lot of great tips coming from you. Maybe we'll make another podcast just about these tips.
We'll see.
We will see.
That'd be
We will
great.
see. Yeah. And now we came to the final part. It is the challenging
Okay.
part. We found 3 challengers for you. I know that 2 of them,
Okay.
2 of them, well, they know you, and one guy you don't know. He's from Robotics.
Oh, good.
And yes, let's go to the first one who you don't know. Yeah, Micha, please.
Yeah, your first challenger today is Eric Arko, manager of robotic applications developed at Yaskava.
Okay.
And it goes like this.
Great.
Hi Chris, my name is Eric Harko from Yaskava. We are producer of industrial robots, and there is the challenge. what do you think? What will be the coolest robot application with industrial robots?
The coolest application.
Coolest application with industrial robots.
And does it include swords?
Yeah, that's I've seen that one. That's fun. Like a profitable application. And we already talked about additive manufacturing, right? That's a robot. So I think that's not cool. It could be the coolest, but I think that's the way it's going. The coolest, I like the displays actually. You know, when the robots, like you have a 6-axis robot that's holding up a TV screen, and they change the way the TVs work and they move together. Okay. I think when we start doing things like in the Olympics, you know, they do the drones now, right?
Yeah.
When you start getting these robots out there that are starting to move around all the boards, having like a display, I think that's pretty cool, actually.
Well, Erich, you've heard it. And this is maybe a mission for Yaskawa.
Yeah, I think it is really cool to see.
Okay, great, Chris.
I still think we should consider a robot for chopping up sushi.
I know a robot and a person that used a laser cutter, and it did not go well.
So no sushi robot. Sorry, Micha. Sorry, Micha. Let's go to the second challenge, and it comes from your co-worker. It's Teja Setničar. She's the head of BTC Innovation Office, and she's challenging you like this.
Oh, good.
Hi, Chris. First, I would like to say welcome to BTC team, and we're all really looking forward to work with you. And now, let's move to the challenge part. I know that you're not allowed to talk about your work at Google X Lab. So I will try to ask you differently, like in general. Can you tell us what were like 3 your greatest learnings working from Google X Lab that could improve Slovenian or company's ecosystem, its business, or generally the well-being of Slovenia?
Clever girl.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Teja. So I didn't really work for the X Lab. I worked with them a lot, but just so you know, just a Google person, right?
You're still cool. So.
Yeah, thanks. They're kind of a different group of people. But, so 3 things that I learned. This might be something that I specifically learned there, but it worked really, really well, and I absolutely can't stand it in Slovenia. One thing I really don't like. I've never had so much paper in my entire life since I moved to Slovenia. So this isn't really robotics or anything, but we did everything digitally. Like if you really didn't have printers, right? You didn't have to sign something and stamp something. You used, a DocuSign or Adobe Sign or whatever. People just signed things. It didn't matter, right? Because it all goes back to you anyway, right? There's legal stuff behind it. And so everything we did was digital. Everything was, all the files, all the presentations, like everything was really, really collaborative. So if I was working on a presentation or a document, somebody would actually be able to work on it with me. We all know how that works. But companies in Slovenia really do not do this at all. And I mean, when I was doing residency stuff, I had to sign a piece of paper and stamp it, and then I didn't bring the paper with me, and they're like, well, go home and get the paper. And I was like, come on. Please don't make me go home and get the paper. Well, you could do something with it. I was like, no, I can't do anything with this piece of paper. So that's one huge thing. I would really like to get rid of paper in Slovenia, because I think the biggest bet in Slovenia right now is if you buy a paper factory, you would make a fortune. So that's one. No. She said 3 things. So real quick, I learned a lot about LiDAR. I love LiDAR now. I kind of build them, so that's huge. I didn't know so much about it before, and I learned a lot about like data security. And I would have never ever guessed how many levels of data security there are in big tech companies. Like, it is almost impossible to get anything. Like, just even a pixel from somebody's photo, you would never be able to put it to the person. In Slovenia, I don't know how well the data security is here, goes here, but there's a couple of data centers. I think Slovenia would be really, really better off if they had their own data center. Like a couple of companies, or at least a colo would be here, because this is kind of a joining route. You know, if you think of Ljubljana, you could fly everywhere in an hour, right? It's almost with the data. There's a pipeline here that's not being used. And I think that would be a really, really big deal.
This is something for Dalibor, for example. Dalibor Vukovic from Telecom, he was a guest a couple of episodes ago. We were talking about cybersecurity. So, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Dalibor, if you're listening to this, dive into it. Let's go to the last challenge.
Okay.
Before I tell you who the last challenger is, everybody is asking you questions like you were Google's assassin.
Yeah.
You can't really talk about it, but
Yeah.
you know,
That's
I did
funny.
some quite important stuff.
That's true. Like a spy.
A spy. Yeah. So your last challenger is Janus Križan, who was also our guest.
Yeah.
He's a Chief Business Development and Chief Innovation Officer at Amazon.
Hey, buddy. Chris, I actually dare to say that I know you pretty well. And amongst other things, I know you are also passionate about sports. I actually approached your lacrosse team here in Slovenia and asked them how do they perceive you as a team member. And you know, they replied that Chris is an MVP. And I was so proud knowing the most valuable player of Slovenian lacrosse. But unfortunately, they corrected me immediately, saying that MVP here stands for the most vulnerable player. And to be honest, Chris, I cannot agree more to that. Since, if you remember also, our joint sporting adventures ended with quite some injuries.
That's true.
But anyway, Chris, you were a member of a lot of teams and you work for a lot of companies worldwide. And based on that experience, I would really like you to share your thoughts on what makes a great team in an American versus Slovenian company. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. So I'm most vulnerable. I don't know, I got older and all of a sudden, I turned 40 and then I've like broken something or bruised and damaged something every month since then. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I won't even go into all the stories, but I love extreme sports and I just now feel the pain from all of them that I never felt before. So, from a team perspective, there's a lot of companies in America like Slovenia. They're very traditional. Slovenia, from what I've seen, is very traditional in the company perspective. There's a hierarchy, and there's you don't skip people to go talk to other people in levels, right? There's some trust, but there's not a lot of trust. Actually, there's not very much trust, to be quite honest, that I've seen. So what I've been used to over the past 10, 15 years in America, working for bigger companies, is that when you need to get something done, you talk to whoever you need to get it done. Everybody's completely open. So you just go to the person, and they're always willing to help you because everybody's really a team player. They want to make the company better. So if you're doing something with the company, they expect you to be also making the company better. So they want to be involved. So nobody really tells you no. Everybody always helps. They don't say, I don't have enough time. They say, let's figure out how to make that work, right? And so that's something I haven't seen in Slovenia as much. People always, I'm too busy, or no, that's not my job, or whatever. That's very old school mentality. The bigger team really gets involved. I don't have enough time right now. This person might. Let's figure out a plan together over the next 20 minutes and see how we can get this accomplished for you. That happens all the time in America, and I've never seen it happen here. That's a huge difference. And I think one thing is, it's more tech company that I really loved was that you get treated like adults. So it's a weird way to say it, but you don't clock in, clock out all the time, right? You don't do all this. If I don't work 40 hours this week, you get in trouble. If you have something else to do, you do it, because they know that this week, if you work 32, 35 hours, next week you might work 60 because you have a project to get done. They let you do it how you need to. If I have to take my kid to school in the morning, but I also have a meeting with Asia in the afternoon, like late at night, they know that I'm going to come in later and work later. That they don't care, right? There's no set schedule more for the tech companies, right? And so that was really huge, and that really brought together this culture of helping and teamwork. But that's something I would love to see here. This this trust. I trust that you're not going to try to take advantage of me asking you or trying to take over all the credit for my project. Nobody takes credit for projects. They just work. We did it, right? It's us. And I haven't really seen as much in Slovenia as I'd like to. Does that make sense? Have you seen that too?
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you for saying this loud.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope especially managers, that you've heard this. And trust me, Chris, I am buying beer later on. So, dear Chris, thank you very much for being our actually final 56th guest.
Wow.
And this was 39th episode of Gravitacija podcast. And thank you all for being with us today and for listening this episode at podcast applications. You can reach Chris at which Gmail?
Yeah, sure, Gmail.
So Chris Coombs, together without dot, at gmail.com. You will find his email in this episode where it is written about everything about this episode.
Yeah, LinkedIn,
and
Gmail,
LinkedIn.
Whatever you like. Yeah.
So you will find Chris there. And don't miss our final episode, which will be released on 30th of December, which will be very, very special with Micha and me. So take care all. Thank you, Chris, once
Thank you
again.
both. This is great.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.